Today's look is based on the classic Hollywood style but with a bit of added glam. I'm aware I look like the Cowardly Lion, but this is prep for the hair. I'm taking Cover FX primer and I'm just applying that all over the face. You can apply it just to the T-zone if you prefer. For the foundation I'm going to be using Cover FX Total Cover Cream Foundation, and for the contour I'm using a little bit of Kryolan's MakeUp blend mixed with Derma Color in a brown shade. On a small brush I'm applying that cream foundation on the centre of the forehead and down the bridge of the nose, and I'm also going to highlight underneath the eyes in a bit of a V shape, also across the top of the eyelids, and then I'm going to put a little bit on the chin and just along the bottom of the jaw. By doing this, it's just going to pull those features forward and just make them look a little bit more prominent, and then when we contour that's just going to sink those areas and push them back. It gives your face more dimension. Derma Blend foundation is often used for camouflage. It's really full coverage, so the reason I've mixed it with a bit of makeup blend is to make it less thick. It doesn't compromise the pigment of the makeup, it literally just shears it down so it's not as thick on your face, which I think is obviously a great product to have, and I think every makeup artist should have it in their kit. As you can see, I've taken it around the hairline, which makes your forehead a little bit smaller, down the sides of the nose, which makes it a little bit smaller and straighter, and then the cheekbones, which sucks your cheeks in and just define the chin a little bit. My preferred method to blend my colours in is using a buffing brush, but I do sometimes like to use a beauty blender, so I thought I'd do the first little bit of this blending with it just to show you that you can use this if you prefer that kind of look. It blends it in really well, especially with cream foundation, but I do prefer to use a brush for quickness and ease just because I find I work quicker with it, whereas this is, you know, a lot of stippling. My next tutorial I do just use the beauty blender, but I do love the finish it gives. So if you've got time, it's definitely one that's worth investing in. This one's a Marks & Spencer's one and it's only £5. So as I'm on a time limit with this particular tutorial, I am using my buffing brush. This is a Real Techniques one. I'm sure loads of you have got this brush, it is brilliant. But I also like to use my Blank Canvas Cosmetics F20 brush, which is also like a flat top kabuki and it's great for buffing. So as you can see, now I'm blending in the contour colour. You can see it's warmed up the circumference of my face and all the areas I've highlighted look more prominent. And I'm always mentioning how it gives your face more dimension. The reason I say this is because that's exactly what it does. Our skin tone naturally can often be quite flat, which just gives us a very flat appearance, but by highlighting these areas it makes our cheekbones look more prominent and we can literally transform the shape of our face. It's a brilliant technique to learn. Now you can use any translucent powder to set your foundation. I'm just using Ben Nye Banana Powder. A lot of you will be familiar with this from Kim Kardashian and her makeup artist that uses this on her. Often you'll see pictures with Kim with this piled underneath her eyes, whereas I'm just sweeping it on with a brush just to set the foundation. This look is about being defined, so we're going to define the brows. I'm using Ebony Brow Duo by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the darkest shade they do in this particular palette. I'm using an angle brush by Crown, and as you can see I'm just sweeping that through the brows just to fill in the colour. Whenever I'm shaping my brows, I always use my brush to guide me. I place the brush from the corner of my nose to the corner of my eye, and the tail of my eyebrow should meet the handle of the brush. Naturally on your eyebrows, the hair at the front is more sparse, so you want to keep that look when defining your brows. You don't want it to be one colour all the way through. So I use what's remaining on my brush just to fill in the front. This creates a nice natural gradient from the end of your brow to the front. Start by lining the base of your brow. Take your time when doing this because this is the important part. This is what's going to give you the shape and the arch. Once you've got a nice clean line, start to pour the colour up through the brow. Run your darkest colour through that back end of the brow first, and again leave the front till last because you can just use what's remaining on your brush just to pull that colour forward, and again it will give you that nice natural gradient. So to emphasise the eyelid, we're going to use Louise Young Essential Eyes palette, and we're going to use the lightest shade. It's like a bone colour. I'm going to take that all the way up to the brow, and then we're just going to put a little bit more just on the eyelid itself, so that's the lightest area. Now taking the darkest of the two browns, we're going to use an angle brush just to define the crease. I'm creating a sort of V shape. You can see I'm just mapping it out with my angle brush. I'm kind of winging it out towards the edge, and then coming back on myself towards the crease, and this is creating that V shape. This will give us more of an almond shaped lid. Then use a blending brush just to soften all that, and use circular motions just to blend it out. Follow the pattern that you've created and just pull that through the socket. Now repeat the step on the other eye, but try and map it out so it's exactly the same. You want the same angle and same height through the socket. And then, as before, blend that out with your blending brush. As usual, this is about building with this look, so I'm going to go back in with your angled brush and reapply some more of that brown, and then blend away again. It's best to do it in stages. If you apply too much at the beginning, it'll be harder to blend out and soften, and you can't also take away if it's too much. So this is the best way, and as I'm always saying, by layering these colours they're going to last longer and the blending of it will be more flawless and seamless. I've done this 3 times over, but I mean you can do it to your desired colour and depth. Next I'm taking a light brown, which is Tempting by MAC, and on a fluffy brush I'm placing that at the top of the bridge of the nose and through to the eye socket. To enhance the shape of the brow, I'm just going to use a highlighter pencil, which is by Kryolan, and it's a face liner in cream, and I'm placing that right underneath the line I've created for my brows, and then I'm going to use an angled brush just to blend that out and soften. An important step in this particular classic Hollywood look is eyeliner. I'm using my favourite gel liner by Bobbi Brown in ink black, and I'm using a fine liner paintbrush. I'm going to really wing this out at the corners. I'm not creating a particularly thick line, but it's not overly fine either. As you can see, I'm flicking it out and then coming back on myself just to thicken the outer edge. It's as equally as important to match the eyeliner to the opposite eye as it was to match the eyeshadow. So you need to take your time when doing this and keep checking in the mirror that you've got the same angle with the flicks and the same thickness along the lash line. Next I'm going to tight line the eye, which is to go underneath the top lashes and get rid of that pinky tone, and then also along the waterline, which is the bottom, which I'm doing right now. Then taking that same brown eyeshadow from earlier, on an angled brush I'm going to take that underneath the lower lashes. I'm going to wiggle that colour right in between those lashes. It will meet the eyeliner that we've applied and it will create a nice soft blend. At the minute I'm using Excess Volume Mascara by Max Factor. I don't mind this one, I just don't like the lacquer side of it because it makes it really difficult to get off your lashes. So I'm applying 2 coats of this. I'm starting at the root of my lashes and wiggling it up, and then I like to go in over the top of my lashes and just coat it from both sides. No Hollywood glam look would be complete without lashes. My go-to glue is Duo Glue. It doesn't matter that you can see it on the eyeliner because it does dry clear, but you can also go in with your gel liner and just go over any glue marks. These are Kryolan lashes, and I'll put the number of them in the description because it's quite long. As I mentioned, this is all about defining the face, so we're going to use a matte bronzer by Cover FX. I particularly like this doesn't contain any shimmery pigments. A lot of matte bronzers state that they're matte, but they often have pigments of light reflecting shimmer. This has none of that, so it's great. I'm going around the areas we applied the Derma Color foundation earlier, and I'm just working that in circular motions, buffing that colour in. Don't press too hard though, you just want to do it nice and softly, and that will just disperse the colour. And you can just soften that with your foundation brush from earlier. For the blush I'm using the pink shade from my Glamour Glow Posh palette by Kryolan. You can apply as much or as little as you want for this look, I'm just adding a small amount. For a subtle highlight, I'm using my Mary Lou Manizer highlighter by The Balm, and I'm applying this to the top of the cheekbones, a little bit just above the brow bone, down the nose and across the top of the lip. I'm going to line the lip with 2 colours. I'm using the face liner pencils by Kryolan. The first one I'm using is a nice red, which is the colour 501. I'm going to line the lips with this and then colour the entire lip in using this pencil. Red lips is an essential part of a classic Hollywood makeup look. Take your time when doing this. You want to make sure your lips match both sides. And remember to take that colour right into the corners. As I'm not going to be applying lipstick to this, I want to create a bit of depth, so I'm using a slightly darker red shade around the outline of the lip, and I'm using 052, and as I say, it's a slightly darker red, and this is just going to create a little bit of dimension to the lip and depth. To keep that pencil in place and give it more of a matte finish, I'm applying Love Plus eyeshadow by Sugar Pill Cosmetics, and that just completes the lip look. Then I just combed my curls out, and that completed the whole classic Hollywood look with a touch of glamour. Hope you liked it. Please give me a thumbs up if you do, and thanks for watching.